Welcome back everybody to Croft, qualifying concluding for the Nankang Tyre City Car Cup Championship and Student Motorsport with a very competitive session in the end with the top, what's that, 10 cars separated by just under 9/10 of a second, and a last minute change of pole position. Brady Pollock snatching pole position away in the dying moments of the qualifying session. In fact, I think he was the last car to see the checkered flag, so Brady Pollock then provisionally will be your pole sitter for the first of the Nankang Tyre City Car Cup races tomorrow morning, 9:30 our first race tomorrow, and they will be three very exciting races. We were very much enjoying the spectacle just of qualifying from up here in the commentary box, seeing quite a few little moments through the complex. We've got one car that has stopped up on the exit of Tower Corner and will need to be recovered, and so we're going to have to wait for that to happen before we get cars out on circuit for the next race. The next race being the first of our three Ginetta Junior races this weekend, the Ginetta Junior Championship, which for many a year would make its annual visit to Croft as part of the British Touring Car Championship package. Of course, they moved over to the British GT package a few years ago, where they have risen in success, it has to be said. Very healthy grids across all three Ginetta categories these days as part of the SRO British GT events. However, that has sadly meant that they've not been to Croft for a couple of years. Well, that's all changing in 2025. The Ginetta Junior Championship now, as with all of the Ginetta Championships, running underneath the BRSCC awning, and therefore able to jump onto this event and get three races here in the northeast to entertain the very sizable crowd who have turned up, I'm sure, partly for the MG Fest festivities off track, but also to enjoy some good junior racing from the Ginettas. It's a weekend on which the championship could be wrapped up. Rocco Coronel arrives here at Croft a long way ahead of Fred Green, who is his nearest rival. Before drop scores are calculated, it's 121 points between them. Now, Rocco is dropping significantly more points than Fred Green because he's been incredibly consistent this year. There have been 18 races in the Ginetta Junior campaign in 2025. Rocco Coronel has won 11 of them, and actually won 11 of the, it was something like 11 of the first 13 races this season. It's only really been the last couple of events in which he started to just relinquish his grip on the top of the championship ever so slightly, and it means that actually there's a relatively good chance that Fred Green could force this into a championship decider at Donington Park next time out, part of the Donington Decider weekend for the British GT Championship, but it all hinges on how the three races go this weekend. Rocco Coronel, son of former World Touring Car Championship frontrunner Tom Coronel, who I'm sure has made the journey northeast as well to cheer on his son, who is a Red Bull backed driver as well, so a Red Bull Junior driver, a very bright future ahead of him. Rocco Coronel running with R Racing, which has been really the team to beat in Ginetta Juniors over the last number of years. Elite Motorsport, though, in fairness, have given them a run for their money. Fred Green, in fact, is an Elite Motorsport driver, second in the championship, but 4 of the top 5 drivers in the points are run by R Racing, they being Rocco Coronel, the championship leader, and then Alfie Slater, Max Cuthbert and Scott Lindblom, another Red Bull Junior backed driver, completing the top 5 in the championship standings. We've had some brilliant racing this year though, and I'm very much looking forward, Kieran, to more of the same here at Croft. I don't know how much of the Ginetta Junior Championship you've been able to follow this year, but it's been a really weird season. If you just look at the championship table, you think, well, this has been boring. Rocco Coronel's won everything, he's going to wrap the championship up with races to spare. Trust me when I say that does not do justice to how good the racing has been. Rocco never has won by a comfortable margin. He's always had a group of drivers able to give him a real challenge, and over the last few rounds they've actually started beating him. So we could be in for quite an interesting final 6 races of the season, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking at the standings as it stands at the moment, and just to give people a bit of context in terms of this massive winning margin, in terms of points as it stands without the drop scores, he's currently leading on 571 points compared to Fred Green's 450. That's obviously quite a big gap. They get 35 points for a race win, and Rocco Coronel has won 11 races this year, and his nearest rival, Fred Green, has won 4. So from that point of view, yes, you know, Rocco has, from a numbers point of view, dominated, but like you say, he's not had it the easy way at all. He's had to win every single one of those. And as we're looking at the last couple of races, he hasn't won a race for a couple of... Okay, the last 4 races he hasn't won. So the first 2 at Zandvoort he won, and then he was second, I believe, at the third race at Zandvoort. And then, Brand's first race and second race, he wasn't on the... he was on the podium for the first race. Was off the podium for the second race, back on the podium for the third race. So he's been very consistent. Obviously, as we always say, it's consistency that wins races. It's not outright speed. You can be the quickest person alive, but if you go off at every corner, then you're not going to win anything.
That Brands Hatch weekend was an interesting one because, like you said, he'd won basically every race, more or less, up until that point. And excuse me, I think I swallowed the fly.
Don't mind Andy,
he's won almost every race up until that point. And then Brands Hatch, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's the pressure of, everyone saying that he had the championship in the bag, or whether it was just other drivers getting quicker at that point. But he didn't have things all his own way. That being said, he had a second, a third, and a sixth. It was far from a disaster, and yet, by Rocco Coronel's extremely high standards, it was a complete disaster. He was probably absolutely furious at the end of that weekend that he hadn't won a race. It was the only event all year where he never stood on the top step of the podium, and so for Rocco, that was definitely a little bit of a wake-up call, and actually that wake-up call has continued into this weekend. He's only qualified 7th for this first race of the weekend. Who's on pole position? His title rival, Fred Green. So the pressure will be starting to mount for Rocco Coronel. Don't get me wrong, he is by far the favourite for the championship, but Fred Green will be doing everything in his power to apply a little bit of pressure over these last 6 races. The basic maths is that if Fred Green can outscore Rocco Coronel by 15 points over the course of the entire weekend, then he will at least mathematically take the championship down to the final round at Donington Park. So that essentially means if Fred Green can win all 3 races, then the championship will go to the final round, because it's a 5-point swing between winning a race and finishing second. There are bonus points for fastest laps. That could complicate the issue slightly, but we'll worry about that tomorrow, I think. But yeah, Rocco Coronel maybe just starting now to feel the pressure ever so slightly.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to quickly make 2 points about what you just said. So, firstly, about him needing to outscore him by 15 points over the course of the weekend. Now, 15-point margin, you get 35 points for a win. If you were to finish 5th, you get 20 points. So, if Rocco Coronel has a bit of a difficult race on this one, and Fred Green does manage to win it, and he finishes 5th or lower, then there is that 15-point gap already. But it's anybody's guess at this point as to whether Fred can close at all. And what I want to ask your opinion of in this aspect is, there's a lot of pressure on Rocco Coronel at the moment. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on Fred Green? Given the gap, is it almost a case of, it's probably, yes, mathematically you still have a chance, but realistically, you may have, you may be out of it. So it's almost the pressure off Fred Green now, where he can just kind of go, do you know what? I'm just going to go for it.
I absolutely think that's the case. Yeah. And I do think that's what we started to see at Brands Hatch last time a little bit. Fred Green had a really good weekend at Brands Hatch, notching up 2 race wins. Rocco Coronel obviously struggled. So yeah, I would always prefer to be the hunter than the hunted, I would say, in this latter part of the season. Fred Green, though, will be the hunted at the start of the race. He starts on pole position alongside Ethan Carney, Colin Cronin and George Proudfoot and Alder row 2. Scott Lindblom and Lewis Goff on the 4th row. Then comes the championship leader Rocco Coronel with Emilio Del Grosso on row 4 with him. Row 5, Torrin Byrne and Max Cuthbert ahead of Alfie Slater and Jarrett Clark. Then Harry Bartle will be next ahead of Josh Henry. This is not 100%. Oh, no, it is tallying. No, it's not tallying, is it, with what we've got on the screen? I think someone's maybe been knocked down the grid slightly. The grid I have says it's then Josh Watson, Raul Zanzaran with Reverie Lake and Felipe Reich, Matthew Chihuahua, Henry Cameron and Noah Young at the back of the 21-car grid. Now, the juniors, interestingly, are not doing a full lap from the assembly area. They're being brought through the cut-through just between the exit of Tower Corner and the final hairpin. That's because they will be given another green flag lap, a full green flag lap. The teams are all allowed to send 1 representative per car out onto the grid to assist the driver with finding their grid slot. They'll often stick a little roll of brightly coloured tape to the pit wall just to help them to then find that grid slot a little bit later on when they do come down to start the race proper. And The cars there, you can see, sitting waiting. There is Rocco Coronel, the man of the moment. And Rocco Coronel, the Dutch driver, starting 7th in one of the 2 Red Bull liveried cars. Scott Lindblom, his teammate, the other of those. And Scott Lindblom will be starting, well, in theory, directly ahead. But there definitely has been a shuffle of the grid, hasn't there? I think it might involve Lindblom. Yes, he's actually ahead of him and to the left. So, slightly different order at the front. Fred Green and Ethan Carney is the front row. Cronin and George Proudfoot-Nalder appears to be row 2. And then Scott Lindblom is now behind Lewis Goff. So what they've done is they've swapped Lewis Goff and Scott Lindblom around. So Lewis, who came on leaps and bounds last time at Brands Hatch and has clearly continued that progress into Croft. He'll be starting 5th ahead of Scott Lindblom and then Rocco Coronel and Emilio Del Grosso. Good effort that from Emilio Del Grosso. However, Emilio's session did end in the tyre wall at Sunny Out. That number 5 car found the fence after setting a reasonably quick lap time and arguably therefore Emilio could have gone even faster had it not been for that moment. So yeah, tense times these for Rocco Coronel, and of course Kieran starting 7th on the grid. That's right in the middle of where things can often happen, particularly on such a narrow circuit as this one.
100%. I mean, we've already seen that today can get pretty hairy going into the first corner down here at Croft. So yeah, Rocco Coronel, he's got it all to do. He's not got to win every race. To be honest, he can cruise home to the end of the championship if he really wants to, but I've got a feeling he's probably not going to try that. He's obviously got 3 cars directly in front of him. Obviously, with the staggered grids and everything, he's got 3 cars directly in front of him, 6 cars in total, as he's in 7th position, as they're just pulling off now for their green flag lap. So, yeah, if you're in his position, obviously, this is going to be realistically a damage limitation race. It's a case of, right, if I get to the front and fight for the race win, great. I don't need to, though. I need to bring the car home, collect the points, and that's what's the most important thing. Fred Green needs to win as much as he possibly can to even have a chance at this championship. Rocco Coronel doesn't need to, so there's a very interesting dynamic between the 2 drivers and how they're going to approach this. And you know, with Rocco Coronel's 11 wins, Fred Green's 4 wins, I get a feeling we could possibly see those numbers change a little bit as we get towards the final couple of races of the year. So yeah, it's all up for debate really, and also this is making me feel really old as well. I've been working in karting a couple of years, and the fact that some of these drivers, obviously, you know, they are very young because it's the Junior Championship, but some of these drivers I've known since they were like, you know, yay high, like less than a metre or something. It's making me feel like a very old granddad, which is not a nice feeling at all. But anyway, they're going through the Jim Clark S's down towards the back end of this circuit.
Yeah, you walk through any junior paddock, and of course with the BRSCC we're spoiled really, because we have probably the 2 most competitive junior championships now, both within the BRSCC awarding, the Ginetta Juniors and the Fiesta Junior Championship, and huge grids with both of those series. It's fantastic to see the success, but you do walk through the paddock sometimes and think you've stumbled into a high school playground, because yes, you do feel extremely old. Racing drivers, I'm convinced, get younger by the season, but they seem to get more talented, and I think that you will be able to comment more on this than I, because I'm not heavily involved. I'm not involved really at all with karting. You are quite heavily involved with the world of karting. It does seem that, you know, we talk a lot about motorsport struggling sometimes financially and grid numbers and all that lot. Doesn't seem to be the case in karting. If anything, the strength in depth in karting and those drivers then moving into junior car racing seems as big as ever.
Yeah, at a professional karting level, 100%. I mean, the amount of drivers you see competing is really fantastic. You see, like, capacity grids. Even when you start to look down at more of the club level racing, you know, you see capacity grids there. Like, they're literally having to turn people away because they don't have the space, which is absolutely fantastic to see. And it does mean that then the junior championships have a massive array of drivers to bring in at that age level and at the skill level. You know, you see sort of 7-8-year-olds that you know, can talk better than I can, and can, you know, compute a sentence better than I can. It's you look at them and you just go, how? But anyway, that's besides the point. They're gridding up on the grid now for the first race of the weekend. This is going to be spicy.
It is indeed. 20 minutes on the clock then, the first of 3 Ginetta Junior races this weekend, and Fred Green starts from pole position with one clear objective: win the race and hope that the points look after themselves. The revs start to rise, red lights will go on the light and gantry now. They go out now, and we're away and racing here at Croft. Fred Green, a good start made from the pole position. Ethan Carney immediately pulls over to the inside line to cover, and they run single file for the most part anyway, down into Clervaux Corner. Looks to me like Coronel has had a good start though, already up a position or two as they head into the first corner, and I think that Rocco Coronel is now going to be, oh sorry, that's still Scott Lindblom ahead of him, his Red Bull teammate. So Coronel, the second of the Red Bull cars, still 7th position as they wind through the chicane. There's a bit of dust kicked up at the back, but they all, I think, are still there as they head for the back straight for the first time. Now, this is where the slipstream starts to take effect, and here comes the challenge from Ethan Carney for the race lead, maybe? No, settles in line behind his teammate. Behind, though, Rocco Coronel is watching, actually, a battle unfold ahead of him. That was Scott Lindblom diving to the inside of Lewis Goff, and Scott Lindblom breaks into the top 5. Interesting dynamic here at the front, though, Kieran. Those top 3 cars, Fred Green, Ethan Carney, and Colin Cronin, all elite motorsport teammates. I would be absolutely shocked if either of Fred Green's teammates give him too hard a time here.
Yes, but we've also seen it from junior drivers when sometimes logic can go a bit out of the window and they just go for a move because they see it. But you can see there that Ethan Carney is stuck right to the back gearbox of Fred Green as they're coming up towards the complex. And yeah, it doesn't look like he's going for a move just yet. So maybe you're right. Maybe they're actually going to work together as a team. They seem to be, look at this, they're so nose to tail. So even just the first 4 in general. You can see there that Lindblom is he's just holding up a little bit on, I believe that's Lewis Goff, is it? Lewis Goff, yes it is. So yeah, Lewis Goff is now splitting the 2 Red Bull teammates. So he's probably not going to be particularly fond of where he currently is. So he's going down the start-finish straight. Currently no moves towards the front. Lewis Goff doesn't look like he's making a move. Doesn't look like there's many moves towards the front of the grid, actually, just for the time being. Looks like they're all just settling into the race. They're actually using their heads, which is one of the things I was mentioning. You know, it's amazing to see. You can see a bit of dust kicking up around there. But yeah, like you see that they are really racing with their heads, and it's such an impressive thing to see at this age group.
You sound surprised. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to insinuate there, Kieran. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I really do think that, look, the only way that Fred Green is going to get anywhere near a championship this year is if his teammates help him. Now, what's happened to Rocco Coronel? You've just spotted he's dropped down the order. There is a challenge from Ethan Carney on his teammate at the front, just to prove me wrong. But Rocco Coronel has lost 2 positions. The 2 positions he lost were to Emilio Del Grosso, and I think Max Cuthbert has got past both of them, actually. So Cuthbert, I reckon, is up into 7th place, and Coronel perhaps down to 9th. The leaders as one head towards Barcroft for the second time, but this is not going according to plan for the championship leader.
No, I wonder if he was involved in that dust being kicked up down at turn 1, so maybe he just got pushed a little bit wide while trying to go side by side, or maybe just made a bit of a mistake. So, like you say, pressure perhaps getting to him at this stage of the season, but you see the leaders just so nose to tail here as they come up towards the complex for the second time of asking. And yeah, like you say, they are just, it's basically one car at this point. It's just a train. Behind, look at this side-by-side action. You go 3 wide into the complex here. Oh no, 27 has been spun out.
And that's Coronel.
Yeah,
Coronel tangles with Del Grosso, and we've got the 27 car off of Alfie Slater, but Coronel is right down the order. Ethan Carney is off the road as well, coming out of the final corner. It's all kicked off, and the championship leader is in the middle of it all. How often do we see this happen? You get to the end of the year, you've got one hand on the championship trophy, and suddenly you just don't get the rub of the green. Rocco Coronel crosses the line, 19th of 21 cars. That, Kieran, I did not see coming.
No, me neither. That was absolutely insane. I saw the front group were just nose to tail coming through the complex, and because we've got a fantastic viewing position from out of our commentary box here. I looked behind and saw this gigantic cluster of Ginettas coming into the corner as well, and obviously in it was Rocco Coronel, and he just got caught up. It's a massive shame for him, down in 19th place at the moment, but that does almost certainly mean that Fred Green will get those 15 points in this one race. Well, so assuming he beats Coronel in the next 2 races, it will go down to the next week, to the final weekend, I should say.
Now, bear in mind, Rocco Coronel, you get 2 drop scores in this championship. He's dropping a 6th and a 7th, so if he finishes any lower than 7th, then it will become a drop score. That might not even be guaranteed. It depends how much damage there is done to that number 23 car, but if he can't recover back into the top 7, this becomes a drop score. He counts back the 16 points that he was dropping for that 7th position, which I believe he got last time out at Brands Hatch. So it's not a complete disaster this for Coronel, but he can't then afford more dramas later in the weekend, especially if Fred Green, as you say, can go on and score well. Emilio Del Grosso's off the road again, coming into the complex and bounces back on. Oh no! Just as Alfie Slater taps the 21 of Matthew Chihuahua into a spin. It's all got a bit silly, hasn't it, in the midfield. Rocco Coronel, meanwhile, just dodged that second drama of the race, and he will come across the line having gained, Kieran, about 5 places on that lap alone, I reckon. Coronel crosses the line 15th place, 4 places gained already. So actually, 7th place, that could be doable.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's got a bit of a gap now to the next cluster of cars. So yeah, he's got probably going to be a lap or 2 before he catches them. But one thing I did spot is during that gigantic whatever we just watched, is Fred Green has managed to pull a bit of a gap at the front there between himself and Colin Cronin, and
George Proudfoot-Nalder.
Thank you. Yes, that's the one. Now, I don't know whether they maybe got tangled up at the final corner. That allowed Fred Green to then sort of pull away a little bit, but he just seemed to have just managed to find a rhythm, find a gap, and they're not seem to be closing at the moment. So he is definitely in the groove. He's comfortable. As I say that, he goes sideways through sunny out, but he just seemed to be a bit of a pressure off sort of thing now. He's he's got a lot of points still to gain. It's not impossible, but with Rocco Coronel this far down and with this close to the end of the season, I mean, yeah, Fred Green is doing everything he can do at the moment.
He is indeed, and it's still a teammate behind him as well. Remember, Colin Cronin, although only one Elite Motorsport teammate, and then the next car is George Proudfoot-Nalder. He's one of Scott McKenna's drivers in the MDD car. Then comes the best of the R Racing cars. So 3 different teams represented in the top 4. In fact, 4 different teams represented in the top 5. Project R's Lewis Goff is in that group as well. Rocco Coronel gaining more places coming out of the final corner. Rocco Coronel has a bit of damage to the front of that car, but nothing too severe, and it certainly isn't slowing him down, Kieran. He jumps up again now, another 2 places gained to 30.
Indeed, yeah, he's right in the cluster of cars now, and he's basically got almost a full stacked grid of cars right in front of him now to get himself up to sort of roughly 7th place. So where he started the race, roughly there. I think, yeah, basically a consistent stream of cars. So he's got some overtaking to do. We've still got 12 minutes left of this race, so it's not over yet for him. But look, I don't know if you can see on your screen now, we've got this gigantic gap. He's already pulled the cars he was battling, but just looking on the live stream here, we've got a couple of cars that are very close together.
And a change for 3rd. I think Scott Lindblom is ahead of George Proudfoot-Nalder now. We'll hopefully confirm that in a moment. There are the leading 2, and is that the Red Bull car in 3rd? I think it probably is. So Scott Lindblom, yes, with a nice move at Tower Bend, managing to slip up the inside of the Aussie driver, George Proudfoot-Nalder, another who has made big steps forward over the course of the season, but sadly drops out of the podium place at the moment. He picked up a first podium of the year, did George Proudfoot-Nalder, about halfway through the season, I think, at Alton Park, and would very much like to get a second here at Croft. He's doing his best, isn't he, to try and get back ahead of Scott Lindblom here, the Swedish driver, who defends nicely into the final hairpin, drifts a bit wide on the apex, but I don't think he'll run wide on the exit. No, he doesn't. Keeps his line neat and tidy, and keeps George Proudfoot-Nalder at bay. They blast across the line then. The lead gap is just under 0.8 of a second. It's staying much of a muchness, really. Colin Cronin capable of matching Fred Green's times, but for now, not quite capable of going any quicker than the race leader. This, meanwhile, is a real battle pack further back. This is the recovering Alfie Slater, who, of course, also has had his fair share of drama at the complex in this race, and he was up alongside Revy late there, and I think has swept around the outside of Revy as they go into Clervaux corner.
Yeah, 100%. I was just having a quick look at Rocco Coronel there, as he hasn't gained any positions on that last lap. That's just because he's caught the next gaggle of cars, so he's really getting a move on. It did look one of the cars in front of him just went off as well, so yeah, he's not out of it. Here we go. I don't know if, yeah, we can see down in front of us in commentary position that he's just about to possibly, yeah, down the inside at Tower. So he's he's making his moves at the moment. It's just racing up and down. This is what's fantastic about the Ginettas. You know, one makes series, but these cars are so light, they're so agile, and it's teaching these drivers such important skills really to make that jump from karting up to cars. These cars are designed to do that, to be a platform for drivers to transition into car racing, and I mean, you can see the result, it's absolutely fantastic. But see the cars coming up now towards the complex once again, and interestingly, look who's closed up.
Yeah.
It's Colin Cronin has now closed up right to the back of Fred Green. So teammates, are we going to see a battle, or are they going to remain calm? You think they're going to stay calm?
I think they should stay calm. There's a big difference between what I think they should do and what I think they will do. I do suspect that Colin Cronin will want to try and get a win here if he can. Colin, winless so far this season. In fact, remarkably, hasn't picked up a podium yet, which I say remarkably because he's been in the lead bunch all season long and is yet to pick up a podium finish. So he's already on course for that. If he stays where he is, he'd love, of course, though, to make it a race victory. Big battle pack coming across the line. We'll focus back in on the leaders. They turn through the chicane, and for the first time, I'd say so far this race, Colin Cronin is close enough to have a go into Tower. This will be telling. He's in the slipstream. He's less than a Ginetta G40 length behind. Does Fred Green feel the need to defend? I think he is just covering. No, takes the racing line. Did not feel any threat there from Colin Cronin. And Colin, to his credit, didn't even show his nose to the inside line. Is that indicative, I wonder, that Colin is willing to play rear gunner, at least for now?
It did look like that, yeah. Going down towards Tower, he just stuck to the left-hand side. And you could see there that Fred Green just slightly came out to the right-hand side, just in case he started to make a move. As soon as he realised he didn't, he swung back over to the left to take the normal racing. But I mean, coming through Croft, Sunny in and Sunny out, they had just nosed down. You can see there that Fred Green is just, I wonder if his rear tyres are going, because he does seem to be sliding a little bit more than some of the other people. And we did see that towards the start of the race, where he was kicking the back of the car out a little bit more than some of the other people. So I wonder whether those tyres are starting to suffer a little bit, which is allowing Colin Cronin to be right on the back of him once again. As you can see there, that the number 8 of Lindblom is still trying to defend against George Proudford Nolder. So yeah, we've still got quite a bit of racing still to go. On that previous lap as well, Coronel gained 2 positions. He's currently in front of 2 cars. He's got another pack ahead of him. He's got a couple of seconds to try and catch up on. So he's currently up in 11th position now. As I come across the line once again, let me just double check that just to make sure I'm not talking rubbish. Yes, he's still in 11th position, so he's still got a bit of time to make up. So 4 positions until he reaches his joint worst position of the year. So it's not impossible. We've still got 7.5 minutes of this race remaining. Going down towards Tower, though, we can see that Cronin is still not willing to make a move on Fred Green. So, yeah, perhaps they did have a conversation before the race. Just basically, don't.
Well, there are 2 possibilities. That is one of them. The other is that he's simply waiting till the end of the race, because this has been the Rocco Coronel strategy all year long. Rocco rarely leads a race from lights to flag. He normally sits in second position, waits till the last few laps, and then makes his move. And I think a lot of the other drivers have sort of learned that. They've seen that that's what Rocco's done with such great effect. And the thing is, battling now is sort of pointless, because even if you get the lead, it's Ginetta Junior racing, you're not really going to get away, and there's a very good chance that Fred will just come back at Colin Cronin again in the latter stages. What it will also do is invite Scott Lindblom and George Proudford Nolder to the party. That being said, they're actually catching anyway. The 3rd and 4th place cars quicker than the leaders right now, and it is 4 for the lead. Might this spur Colin Cronin into action, or is he content to sit there? Remember, the 3rd place car is an R Racing car, teammate to Rocco Coronel. I'm not saying that they will do anything dirty, but Scott Lindblom is no friend to Fred Green, that is for sure. So Fred desperately needs to keep a car between himself and that Red Bull liveried R Racing car.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, if you're Fred Green at this point and you can see that Red Bull livery car coming up on you, I do wonder, can he see the number? Or did you just see the Red Bull car and think, oh, he's already caught up?
Good point.
So he may not be aware that that's not Rocco Coronel. He could be aware. He could have been keeping an eye on. You know, these racing drivers have, as much as people like to kind of, you know, joke that race drivers don't have a brain, they actually do have quite incredible brains and can keep up with what is happening elsewhere around the circuit. So he may have seen Lindblom just making his way up towards the top 3. So he may know that's not Rocco. He may not.
That's a good point, actually. They are similar liveries. There are slightly more sponsors on Rocco's car, I've noticed, as the season has gone on. But, yeah, grant you, when you're bouncing around the Croft circuit with a teammate virtually pushing you around the lap, it's not the easiest of things to spot. So certainly aware of it if Scott Lindblom has a go at Colin Cronin there. You can see he's almost within striking range now as they turn through Sunny in and Sunny out for the 9th time of asking. We've got just over a quarter of the race still to go, 5.25 minutes left on the clock. And it's been an interesting race this. It all kicked off in the first few laps. It's been sort of slowly bubbling away through the mid part of the race, but it does feel like it's building to a crescendo now. You just feel that something will happen in this leading group, because I'm not convinced Fred Green is the fastest car in this group, and it might now be happening because Colin Cronin had to defend second place that time into the hairpin, and Scott Lindblom is now right on his tail as they go across the line. So second place is the battle to watch. We're seeing here the number 3, that's Raul Zanzara, the Spaniard, who's just been overtaken on the last lap by Torin Byrne. There, though, is the fight for second, and again, Cronin having to defend the inside line.
Yeah, 100%. I do wonder whether he's going to try and make a move towards Tower. You can see that Lindblom is just pumping the back of Cronin's car. He's just wanting to, just get on. See, somebody go off or just about misses the barrier on the start-finish rate. There we go, on our screen now, the number 83.
That's Revy Lake.
It is indeed. But going down towards Tower, the leaders once again. You can see there that now they are properly defending as Fred Green and Colin Cronin are basically just trying to keep the Red Bull Racing number 8 away from them, but they're not succeeding at the moment, as Lindblom is now on the left-hand side as they head towards the Jim Clark S's. So here we go, as he managed to make the move. He's still side by side, 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 and there we go. Cronin just manages to get his nose ahead once again into Sunny in and through Sunny out there. You can see Lindblom is just on the gearbox of Cronin's car once again. But this is playing into Fred Green's hands. He's now managed to build a bit of a gap, which is not what Lindblom wants to see, nor the team of the two Red Bull cars either. It goes a little bit too wide, and that almost allows Nolder to come back at him side by side again to the final corner. Round the outside, I don't think he's going to get it just yet, but it will mean he can get an undercut. I think Lindblom has played that perfectly. He's managed to get ahead of Nolder, stay ahead, as you can see. Oh, you're just reacting to something at the final corner there. But yeah, he just managed to stay ahead and down towards the start-finish straight. Once again, it looks like they are staying position for the time being. It's actually, he's dropped back a little bit because of that mistake from Cronin. So yeah, it's 2.5 minutes, well, 2:50 still to go on the timer. So it's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. But Fred Green is looking a little bit more secure now with that gap that he's built behind him.
The intake of breath, by the way, was Rocco Coronel diving up the inside of Raul Zanzara. He's 9th now and has Torin Byrne right in front. It is then 2.5 seconds, though, to Max Cuthbert. So I think 8th might be as good as it gets here for Rocco Coronel, with probably only a couple of laps still to go. There, meanwhile, is Harry Bartle. That's a right rear tyre being changed. Is that tyre flat? It doesn't look particularly flat to me, but he's obviously reported some sort of issue with the right rear corner, and the team going to work on replacing it, so he bails from the pit lane. The leading group arrives down at Sunny Inn, and whether he wanted to or not, Colin Cronin has become rear gunner for Fred Green, hasn't he? Because he's just having to focus a little bit more attention on defending from Scott Lindblom than he is able to put towards attacking Fred Green, and so again he defends here into the entrance to the complex. Green therefore getting away ever so slightly. I do fear though that if Lindblom ever gets past Cronin, he will probably have the pace to go after the race leader. Is he going to have a go into the hairpin? Well, no, because Cronin covers the inside line. Scott Lindblom sort of goes to the middle, and to the outside goes George Proudfoot-Nalder. Again, looking for that switchback is George, not quite able to get it. They're being caught now by Lewis Goff, who continues to impress on his debut couple of rounds in the championship. Across the line we go. Oh, the checkered flag is out. Why is the checkered flag out? The checkered flag has come out 1 minute and 20 seconds early, and with no obvious reason. But that is the end of the race.
Yeah, and also on the timing screen, it's only picked up Goff as the first finisher. Yes. So Green, Cronin, Lindblom, and Proudfoot have not officially, according to the timing screen, taken the flag. But yeah, we've still got 1 minute left on our countdown timer on the timing screen in front of us. obviously on the stream screen that you are watching at home, it says finish. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure what happened. Maybe because there's been some delays obviously earlier on, so perhaps that's what's happened. But you've just spotted something.
Well, Noah Young hasn't come through, so I'm wondering whether Noah's had a drama somewhere. Maybe that's led to an early finish. I don't know. There are two cars that haven't come through, and one of them is Harry Bartle, who we know is in the pit lane. Noah Young is the other, and I wonder whether he has had an issue somewhere around the circuit. I'm not sure. Hearing he's spun at turn 1, apparently, Noah Young. So Noah Young then has had a rotation. I can't see him at the box window, but anyway. So he's not, so he's still going. In fact, yes, here he is, Noah Young. So no, he's not the reason for the red flag. Or it's not a red flag, it's just an early checkered flag. It's all a little bit confusing, but anyway, the race ends, for no obvious reason, a minute and 20 seconds early. Whether it would have changed the result, I don't know, but Fred Green is your winner, and he takes the checkered flag over Colin Cronin and Scott Lindblom, with the top 3 covered by 1.2 seconds in the end. What that also meant is that Rocco Coronel actually did get ahead of Torrin Byrne. So Coronel got ahead of Torrin Byrne, but did not have any time then to chase after Max Cuthbert. So was correct in saying that 8th place was as far as Rocco would get, and that means the championship rumbles on. It will not be decided in this race. It will go down at the very least to tomorrow. Remember, Fred Green only needed to outscore him by 15 points over the whole weekend, and he's taken more points out of him in that one race than those 15 that he needs. Green then the winner, Colin Cronin second, and third for Scott Lindblom, with George Proudfoot, Nalda and Lewis Doff completing the top 5. Ethan Carney sixth there to Max Cuthbert, Rocco Coronel, Torrin Byrne, Rouse and Zarin, and Josh Watts in 11th. Josh Henry was 12th ahead of Alfie Slater, who had a dramatic race in his number 27R racing car. Emilio Del Grosso likewise has some stories to tell, finished in 14th ahead of Jarrett Clark and Felipe Reich, who was given a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Henry Cameron, Matthew Chihuahua and Revy Lake were next after Revy's spin, with Harry Bartle visiting the pit lane for a tyre change but crossing the line in 20th on the lead lap still, and Noah Young after that spin at Clairvaux coming across the line in 21st. So much confusion reigns at Croft at the end of that race, but we will have a chance, I believe, to catch up with our top 3 drivers. I think they've got the memo and have hopefully pulled in the pit lane area, and we'll hear from Fred Green, Colin Cronin and Scott Lindblom after what was a dramatic race and a well-managed race, it has to be said, from Fred Green. I believe we are good to go down at the end of pit lane. Kieran Mogg on hand to step in and chat to our podium finishers.
Yes, thank you very much. And we can see obviously the top 3 are down here in the pit lane, and we have a quick chat with Fred Green here as he's just having a quick chat with Cronin. So Fred, that was a tough race. Obviously, you had a bit of challenge behind you. Lindblom caught up to 3rd place. So interesting one.
I'll give you a bit more trust, but you still got to drive around for however long and not make too many mistakes. So yeah, it's really tough, but happy with how it ended, and a bit more trust, but you still got to drive around for however long and not make too many mistakes. So yeah, it's really tough, but happy with how it ended, and really happy for Colin as well.
And we're talking in comms just about the mentality you had going into that, because obviously Coronel's got quite a bit of a lead in the championship. Is it almost a bit of a pressure off situation for you now, just a case of just do what you can and see where it goes?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just here to get the race wins, you know. I'm not really too stressed about the championship, you know, it is what it is, but yeah, if we keep doing what we're doing, we might have a shot, so yeah, we'll see.
Are you going to repeat that tomorrow?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Hopefully we can go for a 1-2-3, but yeah, you never know in this job, but a win would be nice, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on today, and hopefully see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. Let's have a quick chat with Colin Cronin. He's having a chat with his team at the moment. And quickly jump in, Colin, sorry. So you almost found yourself in a position of rear gunner there, and you did that very valiantly.
Yeah. I'm kind of don't mind helping Fred out because he's still in the championship fight, and hopefully if I can help him out more this weekend, then he can bring it to the last round and hopefully even win it.
And obviously talk about when Lindblom caught up to you behind, you really started to have to think a bit more strategically about where you're positioning your car, because you obviously had Fred Green so close in front of you. You had Lindblom so close behind you. How difficult is it to try and position the car in a way that you're not going to attack him, you're not going to lose points, not going to lose time, but you're also not going to lose position?
Yeah, it's quite a circuit where it's quite easy to defend around. It's just if there's another car behind him, which there was, it was quite easy for me, and I wasn't going to go in on Fred early on, but then when I defended, Fred got a little gap, and then from there I just defended when it needs to be and attacked when I could.
And obviously, it's great to end with a 1-2 for the team as well in the first race.
Yeah, good start to a weekend. Hopefully we can keep it going like that.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, and hopefully speak to you again tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Right, let's speak to Scott. Scott, you really managed to gain up some positions in that race. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race, and it was a good race as well. You know, we were fighting cars everywhere and focusing both in front and in the rear, which was, you know, it was a good race and it was fun as well.
Now, so this track is one that you can really start to play around with positioning on, especially coming into the complex, you know, final core and everything. You can really start to look at different lines and try to find advantages around there. Towards obviously, you know, some of these drivers, British, they're more aware of some of the circuits over here. How difficult has it for you to come over here and be as competitive as you are against them?
Yeah, you know, I think it's the same for everyone really. It's only the drivers who are doing the second year which has been on these tracks before, but I think really everyone has the same, what do you call it, like, anyway, everyone is on the same boat, and yeah, I mean, that's how it is.
And obviously you've got a couple more races still to go. Do you reckon you can take the fight for the win?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think so. We'll just have to keep working and, you know, trying to get past them and, yeah, just do the best we can, and obviously try to go for the win.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the podium and good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you very much. All right, so that's Ginetta's race 1 done. Let's head back up to Andy for the next one.
Thank you very much, and we have cars heading out